Good evening, everyone. Hello, my name is Katrina Lacerna, and I'm the Asian Pacific Research Center librarian for LA County Library. I have the honor of introducing you to tonight's speakers. Leading tonight's conversation is our library director, Skye Patrick. Skye Patrick was appointed LA County Library Director in 2016. In her role, she is responsible for the library's 86 libraries, 15 vehicle mobile fleet, and resources that are used by more than 3.4 million customers across LA County. In addition to helping LA County Library go fine-free and initiating several other services to help provide more access and opportunity for customers, Skye launched the library's iCount Equity Initiative, which ensures library services and programs address the needs of LA County's diverse communities. Under Skye's leadership, LA County Library received the 2023 National Medal for Museum and Library Science, which is the nation's highest honor given to museums and libraries. As the library director, Skye continues to reinforce the library's role in the community as a civic and cultural center, a hub for public information and services, and an institution of literacy, innovation, and learning. Tonight, Skye will be interviewing Asian American country singer and songwriter Travis Yee. Travis is based in Nashville, Tennessee, and has quickly amassed an impressive social media following with fans from all around the world. He introduced his unique sound to the masses by covering country versions of indie pop, R&B, hip hop, and folk songs on social media. Known as the Asian country singer with viral video clips of himself singing country song covers with a voice that doesn't quite match the face, Travis appeared on Fox's I Can See Your Voice Season 1. He has since embarked on the next step in his musical journey with original music. Travis's first 3 singles include Eyes Like Mine, Everything But Country, and She's Changing, all of which are available on Apple Music, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Travis, and I'll go ahead and hand over the program to you, Skye.
Thank you, Katrina, and welcome, Travis. So exciting to have you here. But before we get started, Travis, I do need to read the land acknowledgement as is customary for LA County. The Los Angeles County recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tictavium, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash people. We honor and pay respects to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizures, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tictavian Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, Gabrielinos Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Quiche Nation, the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, and San Fernando Band of Mission Indians. Thank you. Travis, welcome to Los Angeles County Library. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me, Skye. It's such a, I love it. I appreciate you having me, and I think this is a great opportunity, and also just to kind of spread awareness and talk about some hard topics, but I think it's stuff that people need to be more comfortable talking about. So I appreciate you letting me be the person to do that. And I'm honored to be doing it with you too. So I appreciate this.
Yeah, this is super exciting. When we booked you, I was like, no, really? Let's do it. So let's jump right into it. A couple of questions, and then I'll tease out a few other questions based on your answer. So let's talk about your journey as a singer, generally speaking, but specifically your journey as a country. I don't even know if you say country music singer or country and Western music singer. What would you say the best way of identifying it?
Yeah, I typically just promote myself as a country singer.
Okay, country singer, and as an Asian American country singer and artist. Like, that's not typically a combination I think we hear enough about, which is the problem. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I got into country music maybe 11 years ago. So I wasn't, raised on it or whatnot, but I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the storytelling. I fell in love with just the melodies and the simplicity of a country song compared to like a pop song or a metal song. And fast forward maybe about 8 years ago, I decided to post my first video on YouTube of a Wilson Phillips song called Hold On, which was like in the Bridesmaid movie. They performed it in the Bridesmaid movie. And I sang it, and people started commenting saying, "Oh, I like how you sound country," but that wasn't the intent. A lot of times people will say things like, music found me. And prior to me doing music, I never really knew what that meant until it happened to me. So I posted a video of Wilson Phillips' Hold On, and people commented saying like, "Hey, I really like your rendition of it. I like how you made it sound country," but that wasn't the point. It was me just singing a pop song as a pop song. I kind of fell in love with the process a little bit early, just doing that and receiving compliments and receiving acknowledgement. That always helps. Fast forward from that moment, I started posting quick acapella covers on Instagram, and just kind of fell in love with the process of singing and posting videos on social media. And that's when people started requesting country songs. As I started singing country songs, my voice kind of just suited country music. And looking back, like if I sang an Usher song, it would sound country, but not intentionally, but it would just kind of, there was a twang in my voice that wasn't, I don't know, it's weird. I grew up in San Francisco, so we didn't like, listen to country music.
I was actually going to ask you if you are from Nashville. I think that's where you're currently located, but I
Yeah.
wanted to get into, okay, so San Francisco, yes, not necessarily the epicenter for country music,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And I didn't, growing up, I didn't know really many country artists. I grew up on like Earth, Wind and Fire and the Bee Gees and just cool old school bands, R&B and pop. And so, yeah, I just kind of fell in love with the country scene and country music and wanted to start, just really being passionate about it. And I would say maybe 5 or 6 years ago is when I started taking this a lot more seriously.
mhm.
And then I moved to Nashville about 8 months ago to take the next step.
That's what I was going to ask you. If you ended up, are you in Nashville, the epicenter of country music, to sort of fortify and gain experience and exposure? Like you're in the right place for it, yeah.
1000%. One out of every 3 people I meet out here is a musician.
Hmm. I was
um,
actually there last year for the first time, Travis, and what a cool city.
yeah.
Like just that sort of main drag, I forget the name of it, where all the venues are. Just
Yep.
what an incredible city. So much life going on in Nashville. It was a real big surprise to me.
And I've never been introduced to Southern hospitality.
Uh,
And coming here, everyone is so polite.
yes,
And it
yes, I noticed that.
kind of just brings me back down to like, just being nice to everybody, right? Like I think that's just good practice in general. But out here, like you hold the door for somebody, they're thankful for that. On the West Coast, sometimes you do that. Like, I don't need you to hold the door for me.
Well, you definitely don't hold the door for anyone in New York. So
Okay,
yes, I
fair.
can, I can, I can so agree with that. So what I like about what you just shared with us is that you kind of bring about this idea of music is music and the love of music. You grew up on Earth, Wind and Fire and the Bee Gees and probably Dolly Parton somewhere in there. And you like kind of like moved into this other genre, but you've already demonstrated that you have a very full and rounded understanding of music. And so, with that, let me ask you a question. Again, you're not the face one expects to see behind the voice. And I've listened to a couple of your songs. What are some of the challenges you've had to overcome when it comes to stereotyping who is a country singer, or even more specifically, a country singer who is of Asian American descent?
Yeah, when I first started this endeavor, which now turned into a passion, there was a lot more questionable responses as far as like, are you sure you want to do this? Or do you think you're the right, do you think people are going to accept it? And
Hmm.
knowing going into this, I knew that that was going to be a hurdle. And it still is a hurdle, but it's something that I can overcome easily. I think being older, it's a lot easier to not have certain things affect you. rather than when you're younger, you're still kind of experiencing life and learning and understanding like, oh, people judge you.
Very good point.
But, people judge me. People are going to judge everybody. What you put out there is not going to please everybody. But if you're satisfied with it, I think in the end, that's what's going to make you happy and make you excel and succeed in life versus somebody else telling you how you should, create your own path. And so, I've received comments of just, some of them are funny though, I will say, but like, oh, Jackie Chan singing but there have been like harsher ones, right? And, also feedback is sometimes it's best to not look at comments, just post what you love and then move on. But
Yes.
I take everything as, like people are still giving me the time of day to watch me, whether they like me or they don't like me. If anything, maybe they're going to talk about me to somebody else because they don't like me, but that kind of helps,
Well, that person may end up liking you, right?
Yeah. I just have fun with it, right? So even if somebody makes a not so nice remark, I try to counter it with just something more humorous. So that way it kind of changes the conversation and makes it a little bit more lighthearted. So
I like that. And you're kind of touching on something. I was actually in a group of people the other day, just yesterday, in fact. And I said something very similar. Like, I know people who are in the industry, sort of social media, and obviously we have the creative economy here. So, there's a lot of adjacency. And people who are well seasoned and well versed in that world have said repeatedly, don't read the comments. Because it has a way of it could really bring you down. We had a young man here named by the name of Michael Threets, who is, I don't know if you know him, also from your area, Solano County, not too far from the Bay Area, who is like a library superstar, something like 2 to 5 million followers. And he ended up leaving his job because of the bullying that happened in the comments. And so I appreciate you just like understanding like there's a line, and at some point you can't even associate yourself with it because people and the vitriol, I think that can very quickly come about because there's the anonymity to being online. So, that kind of segues to another question of mine. So it's interesting that I'm interviewing you right now, a month after the drop of Cowboy Carter. I'm sure you've heard of it. And I think what she did with that album was interesting in that she, like you, has also sort of challenged this perception of who gets to sing what music. We have a lot of cross-pollination in like non-traditional people playing hip hop music or soul music, but what you don't see is the inverse as much, like African American bands in rock and roll or hard rock or punk rock. We've had another person on here who's a punk god named James Spooner, also from your area of California. And now we have you. So let's talk a little bit about like what it means to have representation as an Asian American, one of the few, correct me if I'm wrong, do you know other Asian American country singers that you can share with us? Like, what is that like?
yeah, well, I'll give a shout out to three of them that I'm really good friends with. So first one is Andre Garthoff.
Let's put those in the chat, please.
Yeah, Andre Garthoff, Zaki Sukarno, and David Unlayo. They all live in Nashville. They're really good friends. And it's kind of nice, right? It's a community. We support each other. We try to bring each other up and help each other out because each one of us has our own challenges doing this, right? And it may not all be the same challenges, but we all face different challenges. And the one thing that I look at too, and maybe this is also just feedback to anybody out there that's trying to do something in the arts or the music industry that may feel out of place or look different or whatnot, is it may just take us a few extra steps to get to where we want to. But I think being able to overcome outside noise and trying to compare yourself to somebody else, I think once you get rid of those, you may get a lot more no's than other people. But if there's a will, there's a way. And I think the biggest thing is don't give up, because if I quit today, tomorrow could have been the day that something happens, So I just keep on pushing.
I love your attitude, and I'm going to take some of your like coins for myself because I think that applies for so many different parts of our lives, right? Like, sticking to it if it matters to you, even in the hard moments. So let's talk about representation. You mentioned three other Asian Americans who are in a similar genre. What is it that you're hoping for? What do you aspire to help create in the music industry for people who are not necessarily represented either in country music or abroad or above that?
Yeah. By the way, I just typed in the three names in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, of course. I do believe that country music is I think more so now, obviously Beyonce helping a lot. I think it's just creating a melting pot. I think people are being more accepting of the sound rather than the person, I guess we could say,
Hmm.
right? If
Hmm.
it's good on the radio, support them. I think it's becoming a little bit, I won't say easier, but less challenging because there are more people opening up to the idea of if there's a good story to tell, if there is a good sound, we need to expose it. We need to
Hmm.
share it out there and whatnot. And so, kind of going back to Beyonce, I think, and there's going to be people that like it, people that don't like it. Again, that's just how it is, right?
That's right.
But I think she's going to inspire a lot of young ones. Not, she already has, right? But now in this new genre of if she can do it, I can do it.
That's right.
I think
That's right.
if there's one thing that I can give back out of all this too is the same thing. Like if I can inspire one person or 100 people, and I know people say this all the time, but it's interesting because when I got into music, I didn't necessarily get into it thinking like, oh, how are people gonna think me singing country music? I loved country music and I was just gonna go for it. And then as people started making comments and asking difficult questions and whatnot, it started to kind of change a little bit of my perception of what I want to do to inspire people that whether listen to me, are fans of me, or are taking some of my experiences to help their experiences. So
Mm.
I hope it works and I hope I'm doing it right. And there's no perfect way to do this, but I think the biggest thing is smile. One phrase that I always live by, I'll never get a tattoo, but if I got a tattoo, it could be worse. And so if there's
Ah,
that happens, don't stress about it because it could be worse. So it's not as bad as you think it is. So that's
that's
how I
right.
like, yeah.
It's not as bad as you think it is. There's always tomorrow. Giving up today, you forfeit the possibility of tomorrow. That's what I'm hearing you say, which I
Yeah.
which I love. It's interesting because Taylor Swift, I have a young child, so of course I know Taylor Swift, can go from country to pop,
Yep.
but there's a lot of dialogue and discourse around Beyonce going from R&B soul to country.
Yeah.
Any thoughts around why the double standard from your point of view?
We probably know why.
I just want you to say it.
I, I think, especially country, right? I'm not saying this is everybody that listens to country music, but
Yeah.
from the beginning of country music, there's always been a type of listener, I guess we can say. But I think it's one of those things. I think Beyonce mentioned that she tried releasing a country album about 10 years ago and she got so much heat for it.
Wow,
But
I don't think I knew that.
yeah, this time around, she's like, I'm just going to do it because this is a project I've been working on. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the songs. I enjoy working with Dolly. I enjoy working with Post Malone. I enjoy whoever she worked with. And she put it out there. And I think if there's anything, whether you like it or don't like it, I think there is a form of respect that needs to be applauded for just doing that. And I think
That's right.
anybody, anything, whether it's in their genre or not, I think just putting yourself out there is also just not a big risk, but it's a lot, right? Like you don't know what to expect, but you shouldn't let fear stop you from doing something that you believe could be impactful or that you believe that can make a difference or that you're passionate about. So I think people just need to be more open to it's okay. It's okay to just put yourself out there, don't read the comments and be proud of your achievements.
So I think you're a great example of that, Travis. Like you just said, Beyonce as an example waited for a decade when she really wanted to do it a decade ago. and you kind of stepping out on faith is what I would classify your move as doing. It's something that you love and you care about, and you care about it enough to give it everything you have, meaning that you moved across country to start a new life and to get the exposure. I mean, I think that is the courage to be an artist despite the art. Is I don't think we talk about that enough. Like, there's the whole sort of internet fury, influencer and all of that, but the courage to live as an artist and put yourself out there, as you said, I think it's like requires a tremendous amount of applause as people who are absorbing you and your art for the first time. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about a memorable moment or experience that's really shaped your sort of musical ear, career, or genre? You mentioned like who you listened to, and then you also talked about like just doing these covers. But what was that sort of turning point where you're like, yeah, this is where it's at for me?
TikTok. I hate to say that, but I love to say that because it just worked out. I started TikTok in July of 2020, which I feel like at this point, half the world adopted TikTok because of the pandemic.
I agree.
During that time, within a few days after I had posted my first couple of videos, Garth Brooks does a weekly show on Facebook, and he watched one of my videos and complimented me.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to do with that information except freak out a little bit because it's the Garth Brooks and I was doing his song.
Like Beyonce of country music, so to speak.
And, I think no matter what, I'm not perfect. I'm hard on myself a lot, right? Like I hesitate what I post and do, but I try to overcome it and just do it, even if there's a mistake. But with something like that, I just validating me that, if he said that was horrible, then I would quit. No, I'm just kidding. But I think
just work harder.
Yeah, exactly. The validation of that, I think, definitely helped a lot. And then shortly after that, I got called out to do the I Can See Your Voice show, which was just another step of, oh, I guess I'm doing the right things and I need to take this even more serious. And I think those were like two turning points back in 2020 that just really kind of just, Travis, like, don't stop doing this.
Yeah. Well, and you have the name for it, Travis, right? That's the right name for the music genre. Let's talk about how you've been able to apply your own life experience, because I think that may also be part of your uniqueness to your music. So you growing up as a person who is of the Asian American diaspora in country music, how has your song sort of conveyed that experience? Or have you even addressed that yet?
I think like growing up in San Francisco, I'm very oblivious to a lot of things. And so in person, I'm sure there have been remarks made, but I'm I trust everybody. Why would anyone say anything mean? And so to be honest, I've never thought any ill will out of anybody in person growing up or even now. I've never, whether they're not talking to me or they make a comment, I just think maybe I heard the wrong thing or whatnot. I kind of brush it off and maybe that's healthy. But when it comes to incorporating like past experience into like music or what I'm doing now, the first part or the first experience that I had with really kind of connecting the two as far as, being somebody that's Asian and doing country music was writing the song Eyes Like Mine, where I really just dove into, I'm not what you would expect. I'm not what you look like. I'm not trying to put myself in a bucket where Asian people or anybody that doesn't look like a typical country singer is in a specific box. But I also like to have fun with it a little bit, right? Because it is something that's new and exciting to people as far as like myself, me being introduced to people for the first time. There's going to be a little bit of, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So I kind of enhanced that just a little bit. It's TikTok and social media, why not? But when I wrote the song Eyes Like Mine, I wrote that with Steve Virginia and Jess Lee. And we just started talking about like the experience of, being Asian American in country music. And so I was just honest in that song. Like I didn't come from a small town. I didn't do this, but I still love music. But for all those that are judging me, you unless you're in my shoes or see through my eyes, like you really can't judge me or tell me that I'm not actually fully invested in this or passionate about country music. Like I didn't grow up riding horses or wear boots and whatnot, but it's something that I love and no one can tell me otherwise.
I love that. And I love what you're saying about like having fun with like evading or like just kind of brushing off or letting the stereotypes and other people's perceptions of who you are and what you should be doing kind of roll off your shoulder, so to speak. Travis, I get that all the time. You're a librarian? Oh, you don't look like a librarian. I was like, thank you. Was that a compliment or was that like a backhanded compliment? I'm not sure. But what you do know is that you live in your truth, right? We talk about that a lot on this Trailblazer, like just identifying who you are as a person, as an artist, as someone to contribute to general society and sitting squarely in that and not letting anyone deter that because they are uncomfortable. I mean,
Yeah,
RuPaul always says, what you think about me is none of my business. So
I love
I
that.
take that one with me all the time. Have you noticed any shifts or improvements in the entertainment industry over the years, especially in terms of Asian representation? So, obviously, in terms of the music today, we all know K pop, right? Or if you have kids, you know K pop. Outside of K pop in the United States, I'm not immediately seeing anyone in my quick like scan of the music industry that is of Asian American descent outside of K-pop. What do you think about that? Have you noticed this shift?
I've noticed obviously a little bit more acceptance of maybe like the Asian, I can't think of the right word, but just us adopting more of the Asian lifestyle and
Mhm.
like you mentioned K-pop and stuff, but I honestly look at this as an opportunity. I don't look at this as necessarily the US or whatever hasn't been open to the idea of an Asian singing country music. If I can pave that way, then this is a huge opportunity, right? Like let me be that person to do this. I like to me that's a good thing. It's not saturated at all. And
That's
so
right.
let
It's
me
a
get
great
all
way
the
to look
no's
at it.
yeah, let me get all the no's and yeses. Let me do this for the people that are scared to do it because,
Yeah.
yeah, why not?
It's like being the first. Your job is to ensure that you're not the last,
Yes, thank you.
right?
Yes.
I think many people have said that, but most recently, our Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. So let's talk a little bit about, there's been a lot of discourse about representation and diversity. So these Trailblazer programs and conversations that we have are really based in people who are trailblazing. No pun intended. We did not name this for you, Travis, but we could have. But who's really sort of addressing equity and addressing representation and, in their own sphere, fighting against this idea of othering people. That's why you hear this sort of consistency in my questions. And so there's been a lot of discourse around representation and diversity in music genres, such as country music. Where do you see the diversity in country music going? So we've talked a little bit about, the obvious, but in Nashville, the heart of country music, what are you seeing? Who are you seeing? Who are you hearing?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like in Nashville, I do see a diverse group. I will say, it leans more towards one side a little bit
Yeah.
more, but scattered around, right? There are identities that don't look like you would expect, including myself.
Mhm.
But what I will say is that when I go to like songwriting rounds and whatnot, I see multiple types of people on the stage. And so I know that's like already a step of, bars,
That's right.
restaurants, venues, they just want talent. And I
Hmm.
think that's where it starts and where it ends. Like they just want the talent. They want people to put on a good show. They want people to drink more alcohol, whatever.
Yeah.
um,
By the bar.
yeah. So I think, I get the business side of things too. There is a risk for labels, for producers and whatnot. And hopefully if anybody's watching this, like you don't apply that to myself. But I do know that there's a little bit of risk of what is accepting and what people are open to
Right.
versus not open to. But I know that there's somebody out there that is willing to take a chance on me and take a chance on my 3 other friends and take a chance on anybody else that may be having difficulties putting themselves out there or getting a lot of heat, I guess, for putting themselves out there as their authentic selves, but the audience not receiving that as like, you should be doing this. So I do think Nashville is becoming very gentrified and very diverse and stuff. So I moved here 8 months ago. So it's very fast paced moving compared to maybe like 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. So I've definitely seen a good amount of diversity out here, which is great. And so I think as long as that continues, then I won't have a problem. My friends won't have a problem. But like I said, there may be a couple extra steps that maybe just put us a little bit behind in the race, but that means we just have to run faster to get to, the finish line. So, and that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
You make me think about this idea of sort of music fusion, for lack of a better way of saying it. And so thinking about Nashville and country music, the Nashville country music and sort of Appalachian bluegrass music, country music and sort of Memphis blues, country music and sort of Southern hip hop. Are you seeing that sort of widening of the genre of country music in Nashville?
100%. And
Yeah,
I will say that there
that.
are people that don't love the new sound, right?
Sure.
They're used to classic country. There are people that love the modern sound, but everything evolves, right? As we get older, as new generations are born, everything evolves. And I think that's just the nature of it. And you like it or you don't like it. But, there's a sound for everybody. And I think I love when collaborators merge from different genres. I just think it's such a cool opportunity to also mesh different audiences together. People that love a punk song now love country, and people that love country love a punk song, or as an example. But I think people need to keep doing it and collaborating with other artists that are not
innovating.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm remiss not to mention, prior to Cowboy Carter, what's the song? The collaboration with Little Nas and Billy Ray Cyrus, country. Yeah, I've forgotten the name, but that was, I think, because I was thinking about like hip hop and country music, and then all the others that I mentioned, and just like people pushing the boundaries. But that's what art is. Would you say, like, I would imagine your goal is to walk right up to the line and poke a hole in the bubble so that you can find your means of expression.
And I think, to like exactly what you said, I think when it comes to art, you can't be a copycat, right? You need to do something that is new and shiny, and something that's just going to make people talk, that is different than the norm. I think that people are open to the idea of, what does this person have to say or do, whether they like it or not. I think people in general are open to at least diving in and understanding if this is something that they like or not, whether, when it comes to change or innovation, when it comes to music, any type of music. I honestly do feel that more people are open to it. Like, I can't complain, right? I have 1 million followers on TikTok. That's 1 million people that accepted me. So I can't complain unless I have 1 million haters, but I don't think that's the case. But
and even if you did, they're probably bots anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I like this idea of, I was trying to, when you were speaking there, Travis, I was trying to remember a quote that I hopefully won't slaughter too poorly, but the job of an artist is to push our boundaries and to move us into the next space, kicking and screaming sometimes, hence you being one of the very few country singers who are of Asian descent. But that is the job of the artist, is to challenge us and challenge what we understand. Writers, music, painters, whatever. Like, so you're doing the work that you're here to do, which is to make us think a little bit harder and to open us up, to crack it open. So you kind of talked about this a little bit, but let's get some actual feedback from you. What would you say to these young TikTokians? I'm making that up as I speak.
I love that.
About being a musician. So we know enough. I mean, I'm significantly older than you. Well, actually, maybe not that much, but we know that the way to be discovered today is now through social media. and therefore having a presence and getting your viewers and getting sort of that circle of influence and access. We know that that's the way to do it. So what would you say to this young person of how to get 1 million people to listen to you? That's no small feat, by the way.
But it's amazing. I love it. I love it. Honestly, two things come to mind. The first one is just do it. Social media is free. So there's no barrier. Like there's no reason why you can't post. It's free. I think the second thing, honestly, is to me, social media is easier than performing in real life, only because you don't have to interact at the time with the audience, right? The comments and stuff come way after. Even if you're live, it's digital. Whereas like in real life, you may get hecklers and stuff that could throw you off, or people that boo you or whatnot.
Right.
So I feel like to me, social media is a lot easier because you know what you're posting, but you can also ignore the comments as we mentioned in the beginning of the call. And so I think if you're just trying to improve your craft or learn how to get yourself out there, I think social media is a perfect opportunity to do that and let people experience what you have to offer without having to worry about any kind of confrontation, no feedback, or uninvited words.
Yeah, I like that. So was there another thing you said two things?
I don't remember. Oh yeah.
We can come back to it. Let's come back to that one,
Okay,
because I think what you're saying is really important. And so I was going to make a comment about something you said that's really critical, that's within my realm of influence and understanding, which is the democratization of the internet, how the internet has the ability to democratize experiences and influencers. And like that was the good thing that the internet offered, is this way to this equal access, this sort of like ground zero, anyone, all people in. I think where it gets tricky is this like sort of insidious bullying and marketing and ad and influencing. That's another conversation for another Trailblazers. But from your vantage point, I think what you're saying has a lot of validity to leverage this free experience, for lack of a better way of saying it, to get your art out and get your words out and start to gain those followers. So I love that. Travis, I would not be me if I didn't segue to a couple of questions about the library.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have a surprise for our guests in just a moment. So let's talk a little bit about growing up in San Francisco. I used to live in San Francisco, love the Bay Area. With some of the best times and the worst time, I was dirt poor, and it didn't matter. I was a young person, also an artist, also trying to like do my thing, living in a house of 5 people, all that. So the library was really important to me as a young person, and I worked there at the San Francisco Public Library. Let's talk about one of your earliest memories of the public library.
So funny thing that you say that. So I grew up with 3 sisters, and so library was kind of like a way to just not be with the 3 sisters, and I feel like the library is a good place of just like I don't want to get spiritual, but just like you get in a very meditative state, right? Everyone's has a certain volume level and whatnot. And so outside of school, obviously, like, you go there to do research papers and whatnot, which is a great tool to have too for encyclopedias and just referencing
that's right
other authors and whatnot. But it was just an easy way for me to just kind of get in my own zone at a young age and just be alone, have mom drop me off. Mom's somewhere on this call. Hi, mom. And
hi, mom.
Yeah. And just let me, I was a young entrepreneur, so I would do research at the library and look up certain things and whatnot, and then tell her, hey, I'm done with my homework. Pick me up. But I think it's a safe space, and it also just, there's no distractions whatsoever. And so I think that was the benefit of going to the library. I will say I probably have 2 books I never returned. I don't know where those books are though, but
well, I'm really good friends with the director up there, and I'll see if he can do you a solid and like, bygones be bygones.
Okay, perfect. Same with some.
Maybe you do a program for them, because that's the other thing that libraries do, and some people aren't aware, is that we have massive amounts of cultural programming. So we would bring you stars like you, people who can generate audience, and like there's all that too, in addition to the research, in addition to like the safe space that libraries offer. So I imagine I know the answer to this. I think I might know the answer to this, but one of the questions I ask everyone who comes on these calls, these programs, is what are you reading?
So, okay, I'm going to be completely honest.
By all means.
I am more of a TV person.
Okay. Well, what are you watching?
Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with reality shows. So, like Survivor, The Circle, Love is Blind, Big Brother. One of my dream goals would be to be on Big Brother, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that the one where they drop you off in the middle of nowhere and you have to eat slugs? Which one is? I don't know I
that
don't
one's
watch
Survivor.
TV.
Or
Oh, okay,
Survivor.
sorry.
But I will say, so I don't know where my books are, but I have like a set stack of books, but they're not like when I buy books, they're not, books that story tell. They're books on like how to be an intelligent investor or how to
Oh,
write music.
nonfiction. Me too. I
Yeah.
don't read very
Yeah.
much fiction. In fact, I prefer nonfiction. So I'm with you on that one.
And I will say to everybody, as you get older, books are great for airplanes, but they're also good just to take a break from your phones and not hurt your eyes. So
Oh my gosh, you've never spoken a truer word. The blue light is a real thing.
So in another life, we call it Zoom fatigue. Just you get
Yes,
fatigued from staring at a screen, which is absolutely true. And like you said, the
uh,
blue light.
that's
And so
right. And so again, we go back to this idea of democratizing experiences and making things accessible. One of the big things we learned during the pandemic is that we could move the majority of our programs online and still engage with young people, older people, book talks. This whole experience grew out of the pandemic. The downside of it is those of us who are on for 10, 12 hours a day, that fatigue is a real thing. And so learning how to like rebalance ourselves in this
yeah.
like post-pandemic environment is where it's at. What about some collaborations? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, I'm working with a bunch of songwriters, which is exciting. I wish I had like a demo to share or something, but until a song is completed, it's kind of like under wraps.
Understood.
As I mentioned, the goal for me moving out here. So one of the biggest things was being back home. I didn't have the access to songwriters, nor did I have the access to live performing, specifically country music. And so the biggest thing for the move was to, you know, surround myself with a network of people that not only supported what I'm doing, but also to write music and to believe what I can do. And so I've been working with a few songwriters, and I'm very appreciative of it. And I would say within maybe the next couple months, one of these songs should be released. Just got to come up with a good marketing plan.
Talk to our marketing team. They're amazing.
Perfect. I will.
So here's the thing, we're at the almost at the end, and I wanted to ask a favor of you.
Yeah.
I would love for you to sing one of your songs, cover or not, nothing that you haven't released yet. Obviously, that's under wraps. And if you say yes, I would love to turn it over to you. However, there are several questions that I must ask you before that from the audience. Are you amenable to singing us a song?
Yeah, absolutely. And just for time purposes, I'll do everything but country, but we'll just skip out the bridge and the chorus, so it'll be like 2 minutes.
Oh, you can have 5 minutes if you need 5 minutes. I'll talk to the boss. Okay, let's see. Let's see some of these questions that we have.
Okay.
So somebody said, dope. Please ask him about the artwork on the wall.
Oh yeah,
What's behind you?
I painted it. No, I'm just kidding. um, yeah, no,
Multifaceted,
yeah,
faceted artist.
right. I wish. No, I grabbed these from, I can't even remember what website, but from a website. I knew I was gonna get a yellow couch. I knew I was gonna have a really cool carpet.
Oh,
Uh,
is that a Keith Haring carpet?
oh, maybe, I don't know.
It looks like it. Okay, sorry. I digress.
Maybe. But I just, I'm the type of person where when I walk into my space, I want to feel inspired and I want to feel like I'm on vacation in my own home. And so
100.
every part of my apartment is a completely different theme. And when I walk in, I'm proud when I walk into my place, and I want to just feel motivated no matter where I am. And, you know, in the remote life nowadays, in the digital world, it's very easy to, I don't want to say get lazy, but get complacent in your own space. And so
Hmm.
I try to find ways to, you know, if I can't get out of the house, like, is my space good enough to still motivate me and inspire me versus like
Right.
running to, you know? So yeah, you know, I try to build like a colorful scenery for myself. So that way I just wake up and, you know, just everything's bright and shiny.
I love bright and I love shiny. And so I'm with you on that. So it looks like one of those people are, what's that little Muppet's name? The red one behind you. What's his name,
Oh,
y'all?
Elmo. Yeah.
Elmo. Thank you. Thank you, Janetta. It looks like Elmo. Am I right?
Yeah. There's a bunch of characters on
Oh,
there.
and Eminem. Like there's an Eminem. Well, I gotta say that problem. There is an Eminem, not Eminem himself. Got it.
Angry Bird, the
Oh
guy,
yeah, the Angry Bird. Okay, got it.
the crab
And
guy from
so who did these?
Wegs Art, Wegs Art.
He's
So
just saying something that makes him happy.
I
How about
just,
that?
you just Google pictures and you're like, I want that one. So
Yeah, there we go. Um, let's see here. I think I got a couple of other questions from someone who has the last name Yee. How much ownership have you taken of the word yeehaw?
oh, I totally took, I run with it.
I
Um,
would not have thought to ask that question.
what's funny is when I first started doing country music, I actually never went with like, oh, I still promote myself as Travis Yee, but I never correlated that in the South. You know, in the South, people say yee yee and yeehaw and stuff like that. You know, like, once
Oh,
again, I wasn't raised on that. And
yeah.
so I initially was trying to change my last name or thinking of ideas on what could sound as a country artist. And then, and this was early on. And then once I
Hmm.
started getting more involved and, you know, I changed my username on Instagram to Travis Yeehaw, I started realizing like, oh, this actually could be a clever thing because my last name is Yee. It's funny because sometimes people think my last name is Yeehaw.
Oh, so I didn't realize the question was because you had named yourself Yeehaw. I thought someone was being clever. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it kind of just worked out that my last name is actually Yee, and it just kind of works with the genre of music that I sing. So
I love it. Here's a question for you. What advice would you give to an eighth grade girl whose main instrument is an electric guitar? Yeah. That likes heavy metal and Taylor Swift too. Love that. It's a rough road, and I want her to be able to support herself too. That's an existential question about.
yeah, I think, and again, it's coming from somebody that's not perfect. So, you know, I'm not perfect or anything either, but I think it's the passion leads to success. And so as long as she's passionate about it, things will come from it. But I think when it comes to like art and stuff, and you know, eighth grade, you're still very young, but and it's easier to get in your head as you get older because there's consequences to things that you do and whatnot. But I think if you do something that you love because you are thinking that it's going to provide, you know, you're going to be successful or you're going to, you know, start making a lot of money or whatnot, then I don't think, I think like taking that out of the mindset and just doing it because you love it and putting in the 10,000 plus hours will lead you to that. And unexpectedly, you will be rewarded and surprised and thankful for the things that do come from it. But I think starting off, it's just don't give up. Like if I gave up because I realized that there was no Asian representation in country music, I wouldn't be here right now, and I would be sitting wondering shoulda, coulda, woulda.
That's
But
right. That's
I'm here
right.
right now with Skye in the LA County Library, and this is another opportunity on my, I guess we could say, resume, just because I never stopped and I never gave up.
That's
So
right. And the one thing that I hear him saying is that he made his own road. He made his own lane, right? There was nobody. He kept going. I love that. Do you have an artistic muse?
no, not at all.
Okay, got it. Keep moving. This is the last question so that we have time to hear you sing. Travis, what do you hope your listeners take away from your music, and how do you strive to connect with your audience through song? Another existential question.
I think the biggest thing is just being authentic and
Mm,
transparent. The cool thing about social media is, again, people are going to judge you, but I can be my funny self, right? Like naturally, I try to be funny, and whether people like it or not, I don't care. I do believe nowadays more so than ever, though, people are invested in people that are authentic, that are relatable, that can tell a story. I think when you put yourself out there, try not to go too outside of the box of who you are, because you want people to love you for you. And it's going to be harder to continue portraying that, I guess, character if you are delivering something that isn't authentic to yourself.
That's
So
right.
I would say just be yourself, do it because you love it. Again, the world is becoming, maybe not the world, but I on paper, ideally the world is getting better at accepting all talents and all looks and whatnot. And I think if you just believe that, then it's not going to stray you from doing what you think you should do. But the second you get in your head of, is somebody going to like this? Are they not going to like it? Oh, this other person got a negative comment because they did it. Just ignore all that, please.
That's right. And I think you're saying something really, really critical here. Like there's a facet of our culture, our communities who are trying to stop that progress, but you can't stop it. It's already happening. And so things are changing and more representation, as you're saying, people looking different than you expected in different kinds of genres and different kinds of work. Progress is coming. So
Yeah.
let's get prepared for it. So enough about me. Let's have Travis sing us one of his songs. We have a squarely 3 to 5 minutes, and it's all you. So let me mic myself, and you do your thing, Travis.
All right. So I feel like a good song to do would be Everything But Country, because it's the first song I ever released. It's the third song I ever wrote, and it's just my baby. I will say though, the songs that are coming out are 10 times better than this one. But I'm not saying that this song's bad. Okay, now I'm just talking. All right, so this is called Everything But Country. Can you hear it? Okay. All right, this is Everything But Country. And if you guys can't hear it, it's on Spotify and Apple Music. All right. She loves that Bieber dude and not a Haggard tune. She loves listening to a little hip hop groove. I turned on my favorite country track. I asked her if she was okay with that. She turned away suddenly. Then she said to me, she loves everything but country. It's so hard to believe. Doesn't know Jolene or Dolly. She thinks those are girls I've been seeing. When she hears a country song, she tries to turn it off. How can it be that she loves everything but country? Country. All right. Second verse. She loves her high heel shoes and not cowboy boots. She loves her Jimmy Choos. They only cost a few. She's got a wardrobe you wouldn't believe. She doesn't have any cut-off jeans. Only likes expensive things, it seems. She loves everything but country. It's so hard to believe. Doesn't know Jolene or Dolly. She thinks those are girls I've been seeing. When she hears a country song, she tries to turn it off. How can it be that she loves? She loves. She loves everything but country. There you go. Woo!
Bravo, Maestro.
Thank you. I appreciate
Bravo. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You know, here's the thing. You are such a delight. I would love to see you back here next year when you have 4 million followers to
Yes.
see what's been going on with you and what you've been able to accomplish on your journey and in your dreams in Nashville. Travis, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you again. Thank you for having me. Thanks for everyone that joined this as well too. Thanks for supporting me. And yeah, it's thanks for letting me share my story too. Like I don't get to do that often. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you letting me explain like how I got to where I am and how I view things and everything. I love it.
And please know there's a secondary market for this. So this will be on our YouTube channel. We do
Oh,
get a
perfect.
lot more people involved on interacting on that channel. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined us. This is our Trailblazers program. I'm Skye Patrick, and we will see you real soon.